Have you ever thought about opening your own mobile cart or kiosk business? Maybe the facility you manage could establish new revenue by adding coffee, food, or retail services. Cart King International can be the answer to your needs. Cart King is a North American designer and manufacturer of the finest mobile coffee, food, and retail carts and kiosks. Cart King has been working with clients and corporations across North America for 20 years, providing innovative designs, custom manufacturing, and timely delivery. Carts and kiosks are fun, and so are the dozens of designs on our website. Please visit us today at www.cart-king.com or just call us at 1-877-986-7771 and get your sales rolling.
If you find yourself in need of legal representation, it can be a very stressful time in your life. In my career, I have dealt with thousands of lawyers, I've dealt with thousands of law firms, and I can confidently recommend to you Keith M. Davidson at kmdlaw.com. Available 24 hours, 7 days a week. Just log into kmdlaw.com. That's kmdlaw.com. Or you can call toll-free 833-4KMD-LAW. That's 833-4KMD-LAW. Personal injury, wrongful death, STDs, sexual assault, car accidents. They handle it all efficiently and professionally. It doesn't matter how imposing the opposition may be, because the team at kmdlaw.com are battle-tested and fierce. They will not stop until justice prevails. Go to kmdlaw.com or call toll-free 833-4KMD-LAW. If you're in for the fight of your life, stop screwing around and contact KMD Law. PureSoapFlakes.com, 218-568-2525. Have you ever heard of Castile Soap? Pure Soap Flake Company handcrafts fine soap bars, laundry powder, and concentrated soap flakes using organic vegetable oils from their northern Minnesota facility. Bathe your body and wash your clothes with Pure Soap products that are free of fragrance, GMOs, palm oil, sodium lauryl sulfate, and synthetic additives. Keep it clean, folks. Pure Soap Flake Company products are kind to living creatures and sensitive skin, safe for drains and waterways, and work great in high-efficiency washers and top and front-loading machines. They have a little promotion going on. Contact them to order some soap. Mention the Opperman Report. You're going to get a free gift. They're going to send a little extra soap, travel size, soap bars and laundry soap, cleaning soap flakes. I've been using that stuff all day long today. Great stuff. Order today at puresoapflakes.com or give them a call, 218-568-2525, 218-568-2525. Pure Soap Flake Company is a proud member of the Handcrafted Soap and Cosmetic Guild. The Opperman Report is brought to you by Aquadam.net. You can give them a call at 707-764-2119. A flooded home is never easy to deal with. You're left with the mess to clean up, the insurance companies to deal with, and not to mention all the memories, the precious memories that are lost in the flood. You can never replace those. And Aquadam can be a tool in your arsenal to protect your home and property from the floodwaters. The cofferdam is filled with water to control water and is reusable as long as it's taken care of. It can protect your home or business from rising floodwaters like a dam, but without the beavers. It can also be used in construction. If you need an area to be dewatered, an Aquadam can do the job. An Aquadam was used at SeaWorld in Orlando for the Mako roller coaster ride during the coaster's construction by dewatering the work area. An Aquadam is now dewatering the work area at San Antonio SeaWorld for their newest roller coaster ride. An Aquadam has been used in many construction projects all around the U.S. and all around the world. Now give Aquadam a call, 707-764-2119. You can look them up online at aquadam.net. You can find them on Facebook at Aquadam Inc. You call them up, you email them, you tell them Ed Opperman sent you, and they're going to take 10% off the price. Aquadam.net, 707-764-2119.
It's the Opperman Report. Join digital forensic investigator and PI Ed Opperman for an in-depth discussion of conspiracy theories, strategy of New World Order resistance, high-profile court cases in the news, and interviews with expert guests and authors on these topics and more. It's the Opperman Report. And now, here is investigator Ed Opperman.
Okay, welcome to the Opperman Report. I'm your host, private investigator Ed Opperman. You can find me at Opperman Investigations and Digital Forensic Consultant through my website, emailrevealer.com, or you can contact me directly at oppermaninvestigations@gmail.com. If you like our show, check out our new Patreon that we have going on here, and we're going to have a little announcement for you in a minute, too. You go to Opperman Report Patreon, and we have all different kind of tiers in there. You can just a tier to support the show. We have another tier with the members section shows in there, and then 2 hours of new content going in there each week, ad-free, commercial-free. You can get there at the Patreon, Opperman Report Patreon. But our archive is always free. You can find that at Spreaker.com, and I invite you to go there and check out our next guest, Stephen Hoffenberg. We've done about 8 to 10 shows on Spreaker.com you could find there. He's an expert on the Jeffrey Epstein case. He was former partners with Jeffrey Epstein. He was the former owner of the CEO of the New York Post. And now he's working tirelessly to bring justice to the victims of the Epstein matter. Mr. Hoffenberg, are you there?
Yes, Ed. How are you today?
Good, man. It's always nice to talk to you. It's been a couple of weeks. So, Stephen, remind the audience, who is Stephen Hoffenberg?
Stephen Hoffenberg is the eyewitness to what Jeffrey Epstein did with Ghislaine Maxwell and Darren Indyke in accumulating over $700 million that are being held and managed by a Jeffrey Epstein co-defendant. And this is the most remarkable story in the history of American justice. One of Jeffrey Epstein's actual partners created a will 2 days before Jeffrey Epstein's death and filed it in St. Thomas in the Virgin Islands, and he's been holding and operating himself $700 million. Even during the time he's been sued by the government of the Virgin Islands, by the victims, and many other creditors of Jeffrey Epstein. So I'm the eyewitness. I know all about the $700 million. I know the co-defendant running the $700 million since his start with Jeffrey Epstein in the early 90s. And I'm here to answer questions and shed light on what actually happened with Ghislaine Maxwell, Robert Maxwell, Jeffrey Epstein, Darren Indyke, Leon Black, Glenn Dubin, a whole variety of people, and the flight logs now that have been subpoenaed by the Virgin Islands in order to know every single person that flew on the Jeffrey Epstein aircraft. This is a campaign now by the Attorney General of the Virgin Islands. Back to you, Ed.
Stephen, one name I never hear you mention is Les Wexner. What do you know about Les Wexner?
I know an enormous amount about Les Wexner, and I have not discussed Les Wexner on air, only because of sensitivity reasons. And we'll have to look at that topic and decide if we want to discuss. There are a lot of folks that have followed Les Wexner for years, and there's a reporter in Ohio that's jumping at the bit to come on your show. And we can consider that, to have episodes about Les Wexner, who's a critical portion, 16 years of business with Jeffrey Epstein, very important component of the $700 million that's in Jeffrey Epstein's assets right this minute. So we'll delay that, but we'll consider it.
Yeah, one thing to make clear for the audience is you believe that the origin of that $700 million was the theft, the bilking of Tower Financial by Epstein and his cronies.
We have the evidence now of documentation of Epstein and his co-defendants removing over 13 years $100 million, not seven. $100 million of the $700 million that Epstein amassed. That is now the fight as to who's going to get the $700 million. And it's more than that, actually. a good deal more than that. And yes, the evidence is in, it's clear, it's decisive, and it shows that Epstein was named all over the grand jury for the Towers Financial case. And then it further shows that the misconduct of Epstein, the name change from Jeffrey Epstein to co-defendant. There was a name change put in to the actual crimes to co-defendant, and they removed and chose not to prosecute Jeffrey Epstein in the Towers Financial cases, which is just another no prosecution of Jeffrey Epstein. There are two no prosecutions of Jeffrey Epstein, Towers Financial and Alex Acosta, two of them now. And all the documents are in, and the evidence is black and white, and it's very powerful, the first no prosecution of Jeffrey Epstein.
And in the Towers Financial deal, you had hired the Giuliani law firm to represent Tower Financial, and you believe that Giuliani betrayed you and sided with Epstein and his cronies and betrayed you?
My beliefs have to be demonstrated into claims, actual claims. If I want to make a claim against Rudy Giuliani as one of the lawyers for Towers Financial, I would have to point to specific allegations. But the first issue is that Rudy Giuliani was a lawyer for Towers Financial for a number of years. The second issue is that one of Rudy Giuliani's former associates joined the company that participated in the Towers Financial criminal cases and is recorded as a participant. But I have not made these claims to date because there's so much on the table to explain to the audience about what Ghislaine Maxwell, Robert Maxwell, and the others did with Jeffrey Epstein, Prince Andrew, President Bill Clinton, President Donald Trump, Leslie Wexner. The list of high-profile people are probably 100 names now. And slowly they're being revealed, very slowly, in this very complicated set of litigations taking place in the Southern District of New York and the Virgin Islands this minute. These litigations are very extensive. Go ahead, Ed.
Well, before we get to that, I just one more thing on Rudy Giuliani. I'm just curious. When you were working to elect Donald Trump for president, you were working with the campaign and working with a PAC there to support his campaign, and you're working with Manafort and Stone and all those guys. Did you run across Giuliani at that period of time, and what was it like?
Giuliani was representing President Donald Trump at that time, and he was doing enormous research into the impeachment questions that President Donald Trump faced in the House of Representatives. And that was his main focus, was the overseas allegations of treason against President Donald Trump that was defeated in the impeachment trial in the United States Senate. So that was his main energy level devotion to the impeachment process and doing the research for President Donald Trump. And in the super PACs, I was part of a work product with Roger Stone, who was the introduction to Donald Trump of Tom Barrett Jr., who ran the inauguration committee. Roger Stone, under my advice, contacted Tom Barrett Jr., who was a very old acquaintance of President Donald Trump, and he brought in Tom Barrett Jr. into the Trump campaign under my urging to Roger Stone. And as you know, Roger Stone got indicted and went to trial and was found guilty and was sentenced. And Roger Stone's sentence was commuted by President Donald Trump last month. So there's an awful lot for the audience to understand and to hear that we haven't gone on the air with. But we're going to go slowly, introduce all of the moving parts to the audience so they can understand Ghislaine Maxwell, how she's thinking, and what she may or may not do right now, and who else is going to be arrested in her case.
Right, and Stephen, we were discussing off the air the idea of doing a special Patreon segment, just you and I, and even some big names you mentioned that could be included on a panel, a weekly show exclusively on the Epstein topic, right?
What I recommended and interacted with you about off air just now is to actually give the audience the information that's not available to the public, which is the inside eyewitness story by me, Stephen Hoffenberg, who knows the eyewitness story of what Jeffrey Epstein did, not in the rapes per se. I'm not an eyewitness to the rapes. I have befriended a number of the victims of the rapes, and I encourage them every day and deal with them every day in answering all of their questions and being supportive to the rape victims and wanting them to collect their damages, which is a very difficult process this minute. So we're going to cover that too on your new show so that the rape victims can get justice and damages, which it's very hard to get.
Yeah, and if you can get me that reporter, that Ohio reporter, that would be great, because I'm currently talking to Rocky Ratcliffe. In fact, I'll be airing a show with him this weekend, who is the attorney for the victims in the OSU case. And one of the things he was screaming into my ear yesterday when we were talking off the air was how Les Wexner's wife is giving opinions on how to settle the litigation in the OSU case. Here's a woman who's accused of kidnapping by Maria Farmer, and she's giving advice from a position of she's like a trustee over there or something, from a position giving advice on another sexual scandal case. It's just the situation in this whole story, this whole cast of characters is beyond imagination.
Well, that's why the audience needs to hear on air an explanation why Abigail Wexner, who is a part of the Institution for Education in Ohio, is called upon to give advice. Now, she was named by a rape victim named Maria Farmer. And what happened is the rape victim went to a house that was occupied by Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell on the property of Abigail and Leslie Wexner's real estate. And this house was occupied by Jeffrey Epstein himself in New Albany, Ohio, and Ghislaine Maxwell herself. And they both brought into that house by first invitation that was a fake invitation about being an artist in residence, because Maria Farmer is an artist, and that was the history of how she first met Jeffrey Epstein in buying her art at an art gallery display at one of the schools. And then Epstein employed Maria Farmer in his office in the Willard House that I assisted Jeffrey Epstein in setting up for Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. His office in New York City at the Willard House that's attached to the Palace Hotel on Madison Avenue, 55th Street. I assisted Jeffrey Epstein in finding and setting up that office, which is where Maria Farmer worked for a period of time before they moved into Jeffrey Epstein's gift townhouse from Leslie Wexner, which is this magnificent townhouse at 9071st Street that was handed to Jeffrey Epstein as a present from Leslie Wexner. A remarkable present. Go ahead, Ed.
Yeah, and the reason why we bring this up now, we start talking about OSU and Wexner, is because Leslie Wexner is a trustee at OSU, and this Dr. Strauss, who's been found, they're settling the cases, who's been accused of molesting 170 young men, worked out of the Wexner building. The building's named after Wexner, and Wexner's attorney is also a trustee over there too as well. So there's a lot of influence over there, the Wexners, on this OSU scandal. But Mr. Hoffenberg, there's a lot of news this week. What do you make of the Virgin Islands court seeking to release subpoenaing all the names, all the flight logs of all of Epstein's passengers on his helicopters and his airplanes?
It's a very important step for the Virgin Islands Attorney General George and her team of people. She has now put together a very substantial team of people to assist her in this massive investigation. And the Attorney General of the Virgin Islands, on behalf of the nation, has served enormous litigation upon Darren Indyke and a man named Khan, who are the co-executors, the people who took illegally the over $700 million of Jeffrey Epstein assets into their possession. And these characters, co-defendants of Jeffrey Epstein, Darren Indyke is a co-defendant of Jeffrey Epstein for approximately 20 years. And he's running this amount of money, approximately $700 million. And he's depriving the victims of their damages. Even though they have a compensation fund, there's no agreement of settlements announced. There's talks, but no agreement of settlements announced. And the victims are suffering damages every single week, with medical bills every single week from this Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein sex trafficking crimes. It's amazing. This is the biggest sex trafficking crimes in American history, and it's first seeing the light of day for justice now. Slowly, it's seeing the light of day for justice, very slowly.
Stephen, do you think it's possible the Virgin Islands make subpoena Trump's flight logs to see how many times Epstein flew on Trump's plane?
That's a question that probably would be decided by the Virgin Islands after the election, not before. There's kind of a governmental period of time of 60 days before a presidential election where there's no court activity against the candidate. And here the candidate is the President of the United States, Donald Trump. So there's a cooling off period of some 60 days. And it appears that that cooling off period is affecting the next arrests in the Ghislaine Maxwell case right this minute, because there are questions dealing with possibly the election and the next defendants in the Ghislaine Maxwell case, because Ghislaine Maxwell, has refused to sing which is shocking. The conditions she's being held in is the worst conditions one could be held in federal prison. And she's refused to sing to increase and enhance her prison custody and make it more comfortable. She has said no, she doesn't want to sing as of today. And this is shocking.
Now, Mr. Hoffman, there's been some allegations that her attorney, though, is releasing photographs of her friends and associates. Do you know anything about that?
There are photographs being released and purchased online of her friends and associates. There are photographs held by a number of the insiders in the Ghislaine Maxwell case and Jeffrey Epstein case, and some are being sold. And so they are coming on the market, yes. But they're paying for those photographs. I was asked to be in the middle of brokering for one of the insiders some very interesting photographs dealing with Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein. And I made the appropriate introductions, and the media outlets ready to go ahead and purchase these photographs today. So that's taking place. The answer is yes.
Okay, great. Hey, next time you got a deal like that, I got somebody to talk to. Okay, so let's get a hold of me on that. By the way, I just want to point out to the audience the significance of finally flight logs being obtained through subpoena process. The original flight logs that everybody sees was obtained by Dan O'Hanks, a private investigator who was working for the tabloids way back in 2007, 2008, around that time. And he's the one who located the victims by basically reading the complaints and the search warrant affidavits and looking at clues and locating everybody. And he's the one who obtained all the flight logs that everybody talks and takes it as some type of litmus test of who was associated with Epstein and who wasn't. Clearly, there's hundreds of people who are associated with Epstein who never flew on his plane, who happen to know him in other avenues. But for now to have an official a list of subpoenaed records of actual flight logs that can be used in court, this is all brand new. This is all brand new, uncharted territory.
Yes, it has not been exposed before. The flight logs that were released earlier on were limited in scope and limited in time frame, and did not include the majority of people that flew on the Jeffrey Epstein planes and helicopter. So those were incomplete. Now, for the first time, the very first time in all these crimes, going over 20 years, and the criminal case against Ghislaine Maxwell pending now in the Southern District of New York, the actual flight logs have been subpoenaed in total. The total flight logs are now under subpoena and will be turned over in the litigations against the Epstein, some $700 million. Those are the suits against the Epstein assets brought by the Virgin Islands Attorney General George. And the audience doesn't quite understand the deep-rooted allegations and claims that are in the Virgin Islands courthouse. And we'll have to expose that in greater detail to the audience, Ed.
Stephen, do you have any suspicions or hints or clues of what other names we're going to find out flew on the planes and the helicopters?
Yes, there will be political names and big business names that flew on the planes. The question is, did the helicopter maintain a flight log? Because that was a 5-minute quick flight from the St. Thomas Airport, picking up the travelers from the Jeffrey Epstein jet planes to put on the helicopter and to bring them to the island. So the question of flight logs for the helicopter is open, but there's no doubt that the extensive list of the passengers from the Lolita Express. 2 planes under the banner of the Lolita Express, a 727 jet former passenger aircraft that's now rusting away in storage with its engines taken off, and a Gulfstream jet plane private aircraft that's being sold or was sold as a private corporate aircraft. There were 2 Lolita Express jet planes traveling people from around the world to Jeffrey Epstein's Orgy Island in St. Thomas, next to St. Thomas, 5 minutes away by helicopter from St. Thomas. You could see St. Thomas from the island. Take it away, Ed.
Yeah, no, Mr. Trump owns an island in that area too as well, right?
I'm not familiar with an island that President Trump may or may not own. He doesn't seem to go to it in tracking his travels.
Yeah, because there was an article once. It was like a $14 million mansion, and they were talking about hurricane damage to it in that area once. It's the only reference that I ever found to it. Let's take a little commercial break. We're with Stephen Hoffenberg, former CEO of the New York Post, former CEO of Tower Financial, which appears to be the source of Jeffrey Epstein's misgotten fortune, and former partner with Jeffrey Epstein, and soon to be a partner in a weekly podcast on Patreon with the Ed Opperman Report. We'll be right back after these messages. And now a word from our sponsors. If you find yourself in need of legal representation, it can be a very stressful time in your life. In my career, I have dealt with thousands of lawyers, I've dealt with thousands of law firms, and I can confidently recommend to you Keith M. Davidson at kmdlaw.com. Available 24 hours, 7 days a week. Just log into kmdlaw.com. That's kmdlaw.com. Or you can call toll-free 833-4KMD-LAW. That's 833-4KMD-LAW. Personal injury, wrongful death, STDs, sexual assault, car accidents. They handle it all efficiently and professionally. It doesn't matter how imposing the opposition may be, because the team at kmdlaw.com are battle-tested and fierce. They will not stop until justice prevails. Go to kmdlaw.com or call toll-free 833-4KMD-LAW. If you're in for the fight of your life, stop screwing around and contact KMD Law.
Are you ready to change your life, but don't know how to start? Is your stress and worries keeping you awake at night? Have you been battling grief, anxiety, or depression all alone? Have you lost touch with your own sense of being or spirituality? Soul Free Therapies offers professional and affordable live video streaming counseling and coaching services from the comfort of your own home. Sessions offered in English, Spanish, and Portuguese. Go to our website at www.soul-free.com and book your first session today.
The Opperman Report is brought to you by Aquadam.net. You can give them a call at 707-764-2119. A flooded home is never easy to deal with. You're left with the mess to clean up, the insurance companies to deal with, and not to mention all the memories, the precious memories that are lost in the flood. You can never replace those. And Aquadam can be a tool in your arsenal to protect your home and property from the floodwaters. The cofferdam is filled with water to control water and is reusable as long as it's taken care of. It can protect your home or business from rising floodwaters like a dam, but without the beavers. It can also be used in construction. If you need an area to be dewatered, an Aquadam can do the job. An Aquadam was used at SeaWorld in Orlando for the Mako roller coaster ride during the coaster's construction by dewatering the work area. An Aquadam is now dewatering the work area at San Antonio SeaWorld for their newest roller coaster ride. An Aquadam has been used in many construction projects all around the U.S. and all around the world. Now give Aquadam a call, 707-764-2119. You can look them up online at aquadam.net. You can find them on Facebook at Aquadam Inc. You call them up, you email them, you tell them Ed Opperman sent you, and they're going to take 10% off the price. Aquadam.net, 707-764-2119. PureSoapFlakes.com, 218-568-2525. Have you ever heard of Castile Soap? Pure Soap Flake Company handcrafts fine soap bars, laundry powder, and concentrated soap flakes using organic vegetable oils from their northern Minnesota facility. Bathe your body and wash your clothes with pure soap products that are free of fragrance, GMOs, palm oil, sodium lauryl sulfate, and synthetic additives. Keep it clean, folks. Pure Soap Flake Company products are kind to living creatures and sensitive skin, safe for drains and waterways, and work great in high-efficiency washers and top and front-loading machines. They have a little promotion going on. Contact them to order some soap. Mention the Opperman Report. You're going to get a free gift. They're going to send a little extra soap, travel size, soap bars and laundry soap, cleaning soap flakes. I've been using that stuff all day long today. Great stuff. Order today at puresoapflakes.com or give them a call, 218-568-2525, 218-568-2525. Pure Soap Flake Company is a proud member of the Handcrafted Soap and Cosmetic Guild.
It's the Opperman Report. And now, here is investigator Ed Opperman.
Okay, welcome back to the Opperman Report. I'm your host, private investigator Ed Opperman. You can find me on Twitter, Facebook, Opperman Report, Spreaker.com. We're here with Stephen Hoffenberg, talking about the Jeffrey Epstein case. Stephen Hoffenberg is an insider with the Jeffrey Epstein case. He's worked with Epstein for 9 years at Tower Financial, and then was former CEO of the New York Post and former CEO of Tower Financial. Mr. Hoffenberg, are you there?
Yes, Ed, I'm right here.
Now, you were telling me before that you believe that there's going to be some other arrests around Maxwell, but they're holding off until after the election. They don't want to do this before the election. Do you have any names of who you think is about to be arrested?
Yes. There are 4 widely established co-workers with Ghislaine Maxwell employed by Jeffrey Epstein. And that's Sarah Kellen, who was a direct employee of Jeffrey Epstein and assisted Ghislaine Maxwell, as did these other ladies, in the procurement and bringing the poor rape victims to Jeffrey Epstein's homes for sex trafficking. It's remarkable what happened. Adriana Ross, and I'll repeat her name, Adriana Ross. Now you have 2. You have Sarah Kellen. You have Adriana Ross, who's another former recruiter for Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein in bringing the girls, the poor sex trafficked little girls, to Jeffrey Epstein. You have Leslie Groff, who's another lady named Leslie Groff, who worked with Sarah Kellen, worked with Adriana Ross. Leslie Groff was another recruiter in bringing these poor little girls, the rape trafficking victims, to Jeffrey Epstein. Then you have a lady that's very unusual, a lady that Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell sponsored to become an airline pilot for them. And she also participated in the sex trafficking participation rapes. And Nardina, I'm going to say it slowly, Markinova is her name. It's a Russian name, I believe. And Nardina Markinova was another participant in the outrageous crimes of sex trafficking, rapes by Jeffrey Epstein, that also included in a number of the rapes Ghislaine Maxwell. It's remarkable that these 4 ladies actually participated in the sex trafficking crimes of the girls that Jeffrey Epstein did sex traffic. And it's a remarkable, amazing story that justice is taking place slowly, and the audience doesn't understand why such a giant case of rape trafficking of girls is moving so slowly And you'll add in the new show that we're going to put on with the inside information, the eyewitness inside information that you're going to put on, Ed, as a podcast. We're going to be able to explain each step of the Ghislaine Maxwell case so the audience can understand why justice moves so slowly in this case. The FBI have an enormous amount of paperwork. The FBI has been doing the research into Jeffrey Epstein since before his 2008 no prosecution agreement, which we're going to explain how the most serious crimes in American history got the benefit of a no prosecution agreement. That was the second of two no prosecution agreements provided to Jeffrey Epstein. Towers Financial's case also, in its grand jury minutes in Illinois, names Jeffrey Epstein across the board for financial crimes. And the Towers Financial case, where there's two insurance companies in Illinois that had the director of the Illinois State Department of Insurance bring a lawsuit in that case of Towers Financial, which also explained actual cash transfers of $250,000 to Jeffrey Epstein and some $10 million transferred to Jeffrey Epstein's securities firms that he was supervising. 10 securities firms under the supervision of Jeffrey Epstein in the Towers Financial, two insurance companies. That investigation was thoroughly done, and there was no prosecution of Jeffrey Epstein in that case. And also there was no prosecution of the Alex Acosta case in 2008 of Jeffrey Epstein. The first real prosecuted case was in the Southern District of New York that ended up very quickly in the death of Jeffrey Epstein last year, which is amazing how that case came to a very fast end. Take it back, Dave.
Yeah, Mr. Hoffenberg, you mentioned these four names: Sarah Kellen, Adriana Ross, Leslie Groff, and Nardina Makronova. Now, is there any indication that these ladies were once victims that later on became abusers?
One lady had an affair with Jeffrey Epstein. That's been noted. But the affair that she had with Jeffrey Epstein appears to be by consent. So she has never filed a claim as a victim. Not one of the four ladies have ever filed claims as victims. In articles, media interviews of the four ladies, one said that she had an affair with Jeffrey Epstein, but there's been no further effort on that lady's part to file any claim for damages against Jeffrey Epstein's $700 million. So it's hard to accept that there's any claims by the four ladies that may very well face an indictment soon after the election. The FBI is ready to go.
Do we know what ages they came into contact with Epstein and Maxwell?
They were young,
yeah,
in their 20s when they came into contact with Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. And Maria Farber, we'll ask her to come on your new show and to explain to the audience, as a victim, her inside views of how the rapes occurred and the sex trafficking actually occurred, because she was kidnapped They refused to let her leave an estate in New Albany, Ohio. Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell held her captive, kidnapped, in an estate in New Albany, Ohio, and they refused to let her leave for months. So before that time frame, when she was held captive, she worked for Jeffrey Epstein in his companies in New York City and was a very deep insider into the actual people involved with Jeffrey Epstein. She's an eyewitness, and her story is something that your listeners will find fascinating on your new podcast, Ed.
But now, Stephen, she was under a gag order at one point, right?
Well, she has to get permission in order to talk. They just put the civil cases, the one big civil case by Virginia Roberts, on hold, so that gag order may not hold indefinitely, because if there's going to be no way for litigation in the years to come, you can't gag these people for years in advance. That doesn't traditionally take place in the court system in America.
And one of the things I was just talking to Pierce Redmond about recently is in one of the Maxwell civil litigations, a bunch of motions and depositions were sealed. And then it was just ordered that they would be unsealed prior to her criminal trial, which is very unusual. But I believe there was a ruling just recently that they're going to remain sealed.
There is a number of rulings about litigations, more than one litigation dealing with the sealing of documents. The cases that you're addressing are the Ghislaine Maxwell slander case that was settled and paid to Virginia Roberts. Virginia Roberts collected a very big payment from Jeffrey Epstein for the Ghislaine Maxwell slander case. And that's the case where there has been rulings by Judge Presker, who's the chief judge of the Southern District of New York Federal Courts, to unseal many documents. And there's going to be an appeal heard currently, circuit court, to decide on how to treat some of the release of the documents. It's not been finalized yet. It's still going through the judicial system. And there's fights on every side. Every single side has a different fight on four sides of the page of sealing or unsealing these documents.
Well, Mr. Hoffman, where do you land on that? Wouldn't you be concerned that this would prejudice a jury against Maxwell and put her conviction at jeopardy, that she could have it overturned by releasing these sealed depositions before her trial?
Well, that's the question posed to the courts.
Yeah.
And they're going to have to make decisions in the appellate court, which is above the lower court, on whether to allow these documents to be released to the public. It has not been conclusive yet. There's been some lower court decisions, but the upper court has not yet decided on what they're going to do. And there is a question of what Ghislaine Maxwell is going to do. Is she going to sing? If she sings, she will get better custody under arrest. She'll be a witness. She can qualify for protective custody, which has a fabulous record of never losing one of the witnesses in protective custody. They've been successful throughout their entire history and protecting the witnesses. And the government of the United States probably would put Ghislaine Maxwell into protective custody. And that will change her burden gigantically in the housing at prison, because she would be in protective custody. She would sing, she would name names, she wouldn't be going to trial, she would have an agreement, and her life will straighten out compared to the disarray her life is in right now by not singing. She's making the hardest decision of her life by not singing.
And who do you think?
Jeopardizing everything.
Who would she testify against? What names could she name that would be higher up in this ring, what they're called a ring, this exploitation and child prostitution ring? What names could she name higher up in her organization than herself and Epstein?
She has the evidence, being herself as a witness to Darren Indyke and some $15 to $20 million transaction between her and Darren Indyke and Jeffrey Epstein. And she has the eyewitness account for what Darren Indyke did in the sex, rapes, trafficking crimes. So we have to pay attention to the some $700 million that are sitting now in accounts waiting for justice. That's critical to the governments pursuing these cases. There are two governments in these cases: the United States of America and the Virgin Islands, the U.S. Virgin Islands, pursuing this amount of about $700 million. And Ghislaine Maxwell would be a key material witness in the $700 million sitting for the victims and for the other lawsuits and other claims. Very important part of the case. Very critical.
Okay, Mr. Hoffenberg, we only have about 3 minutes left. What do you want to leave us with? And can you be sure to talk directly into the microphone of your phone?
Yes. What I'd like to tell the audience is that your new podcast is going to take the time to explain every detail, every moving part in the Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein crimes, and explain the other co-defendants in the crimes and the misconduct done in the sex trafficking, and with the over $700 million sitting around now for the taking. This is going to be the only eyewitness account on the air that you're going to bring forward that actually has the ability to explain firsthand the inside information of the monetary crimes and how they finance the sex trafficking rapes. There's monetary crimes here for billions of dollars, where there's $700 million sitting around in assets and cash, and there's sex trafficking rape crimes. There's two different sets of crimes that overlap, and your new podcast is going to discern each step of all of these crimes. Take it back, Ed.
Stephen Hoffenberg, thank you so much. You always come loaded with information and inside information. I can't thank you enough for coming on the show. We'll be in touch on the new podcast. We'll tape some stuff this week, and we'll get some content up by the end of the week. Thank you so much.
Good enough, Ed. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
And now a word from our sponsors, emailrevealer.com. People ask me all the time, hey, Ed, are you still a private investigator? I sure am, Go to emailrevealer.com. We handle adoption investigations, infidelity investigations, where you give us your spouse's email address. We trace it back to online dating websites, catch them cheating online. Email tracing, locate or identify somebody from as little as an anonymous email address. Someone owe you money? Back child support? We can find that deadbeat, locate his hidden assets, locate his hidden bank accounts, find his current place of employment, and even assist you in obtaining a judgment and recover that judgment for you. Emailrevealer.com, digital forensics, computer forensics, cell phone forensics, recover deleted text messages, create a report that you can use in court. Emailrevealer.com, 800-572-9762. The Opperman Report is brought to you by Aquadam.net. You can give them a call at 707-764-2119. A flooded home is never easy to deal with. You're left with the mess to clean up, the insurance companies to deal with, and not to mention all the memories, the precious memories that are lost in the flood. You can never replace those. And Aquadam can be a tool in your arsenal to protect your home and property from the floodwaters. The cofferdam is filled with water to control water and is reusable as long as it's taken care of. It can protect your home or business from rising floodwaters like a dam, but without the beavers. It can also be used in construction. If you need an area to be dewatered, an Aquadam can do the job. An Aquadam was used at SeaWorld in Orlando for the Mako roller coaster ride during the coaster's construction by dewatering the work area. An Aquadam is now dewatering the work area at San Antonio SeaWorld for their newest roller coaster ride. An Aquadam has been used in many construction projects all around the U.S. and all around the world. Now give Aquadam a call, 707-764-2119. You can look them up online at aquadam.net. You can find them on Facebook at Aquadam Inc. You call them up, you email them, you tell them Ed Opperman sent you, and they're going to take 10% off the price. Aquadam.net, 707-764-2119.
Have you ever thought about opening your own mobile cart or kiosk business? Maybe the facility you manage could establish new revenue by adding coffee, food, or retail services. Cart King International can be the answer to your needs. Cart King is a North American designer and manufacturer of the finest mobile coffee, food, and retail carts and kiosks. Cart King has been working with clients and corporations across North America for 20 years, providing innovative designs, custom manufacturing, and timely delivery. Carts and kiosks are fun, and so are the dozens of designs on our website. Please visit us today at www.cart-king.com or just call us at 1-877-986-7771 and get your sales rolling.
If you find yourself in need of legal representation, it can be a very stressful time in your life. In my career, I have dealt with thousands of lawyers, I've dealt with thousands of law firms, and I can confidently recommend to you Keith M. Davidson at kmdlaw.com. Available 24 hours, 7 days a week. Just log into kmdlaw.com. That's kmdlaw.com. Or you can call toll-free 833-4KMD-LAW. That's 833-4KMD-LAW. Personal injury, wrongful death, STDs, sexual assault, car accidents. They handle it all efficiently and professionally. It doesn't matter how imposing the opposition may be, because the team at kmdlaw.com are battle-tested and fierce. They will not stop until justice prevails. Go to kmdlaw.com or call toll-free 833-4KMD-LAW. If you're in for the fight of your life, stop screwing around and contact KMD Law. PureSoapFlakes.com, 218-568-2525. Have you ever heard of Castile Soap? Pure Soap Flake Company handcrafts fine soap bars, laundry powder, and concentrated soap flakes using organic vegetable oils from their northern Minnesota facility. Bathe your body and wash your clothes with Pure Soap products that are free of fragrance, GMOs, palm oil, sodium lauryl sulfate, and synthetic additives. Keep it clean, folks. Pure Soap Flake Company products are kind to living creatures and sensitive skin, safe for drains and waterways, and work great in high-efficiency washers and top and front-loading machines. They have a little promotion going on. Contact them to order some soap. Mention the Opperman Report. You're going to get a free gift. They're going to send a little extra soap, travel size, soap bars and laundry soap, cleaning soap flakes. I've been using that stuff all day long today. Great stuff. Order today at puresoapflakes.com or give them a call, 218-568-2525, 218-568-2525. Pure Soap Flake Company is a proud member of the Handcrafted Soap and Cosmetic Guild.
Are you ready to change your life, but don't know how to start? Is your stress and worries keeping you awake at night? Have you been battling grief, anxiety, or depression all alone? Have you lost touch with your own sense of being or spirituality? Soul Free Therapies offers professional and affordable live video streaming counseling and coaching services from the comfort of your own home. Sessions offered in English, Spanish, and Portuguese. Go to our website at www.soul-free.com and book your first session today.